Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. It's been a long time since I've done a video on the Jeep, but I'm back in it today and it's looking even more redneck than previously with my fancy blue tarp seat cover. Pardon the camera moving around. So today is July 20th, 2022. At least it is when I'm filming it. I'm not sure how quickly I'll get it edited and uploaded. But July 20th is kind of a significant anniversary for me. It was 10 years ago today that Ferry County experienced a really severe straight line windstorm. Just kind of ripped through from the south end by Keller, went all the way up through Republic and up to Curlew, and did severe damage. Took out just thousands of trees and knocked down about 700 miles of power lines and just devastated a lot of areas. Dropped trees on top of cars and damaged houses and everything else. At my place, I only lost about 20 trees on our acreage, but it tore off probably a third of the roof on our garage, and it was just an amazing storm. There's still videos on YouTube and other stories about it. But what's really significant about it for me is that it had a major impact on my life as far as emergency preparedness and other activities that I do. First off, as far as equipment, I'll say I did have some preparedness, emergency gear in my truck at the time. But I had a power line that came down across the truck, and so even though I was pretty sure that there wasn't any power in that line, I didn't want to test it out. I played it safe, so I had had no access to any of my gear at that point. So since then I've adapted. I try to always carry some emergency gear on my person. I also like to keep some in my office and other locations, just so if my primary gear is inaccessible for some reason, that I still have access to other stuff. And then another lesson I learned is I always used to just constantly be driving around with the gas tank almost empty, and on that particular day, it was on E, and I was planning on going and gassing up at the end of the day. Excuse me. But we only have one, or at that point anyway, we only had one gas station in the entire county that had an emergency generator. So, of course, everybody was coming from miles around to gas up, and there's a huge line. And so I had to wait until the next day. I got a ride home with my son, but of course, the truck wasn't going anywhere that day anyway with the power line on it. But once the line was removed, then the next day, it was actually my father-in-law took it and sat in line for ages to wait to gas it up. So since then, I try to always keep the tank at least half full. These days, I prefer more like 3/4 full, and it's been good since, with higher prices and potential shortages and all that. I like to just keep it topped up. But so that was a lesson learned that day. And then the really big thing, the major impact on my life, is that in the aftermath of the storm, search and rescue was helping coordinate, checking to make sure everybody was okay and getting supplies to them and handling communications and that sort of thing. And before that point, I never knew that search and rescue even existed, really. I didn't know anything about it. But I went to see if I could volunteer to help out because I saw what they were doing and appreciated it. And actually at that point was not able to get in and help out with the storm cleanup, but I ended up joining search and rescue, just under 10 years ago. It was end of July, beginning of August, I officially joined and have been involved in that ever since. I've been vice president of Ferry County Search and Rescue for several years now, and find it very satisfying taking part in that. And have learned a lot of valuable skills since then, things that 10 years ago I did not know. I grew up in the city. I had virtually no outdoor skills, navigation, emergency shelters, fire building, knot tying, all this kind of stuff. That's all been things that I've learned in those last 10 years since I got involved in search and rescue. And so if you watch any of my overnight camp out videos, where I'm setting up a shelter and building a fire in the snow or anything like that, those are skills that I've learned since then. Some of it through SAR, some of it by checking out other YouTubers and learning skills that way, but it's motivated me to learn a lot more for emergency preparedness and just general outdoor skills. And as far as communication, that having the power and everything knocked out, our phone was down for 6 days after that. And I discovered that especially in remote areas, you can't always count on being able to communicate with conventional means. And so that, along with some of the other SAR members, really encouraged me to get my ham license. So now I usually always have a handheld ham radio. I've got mobile radio in my rig. There's rarely ever a time where I'm unable to communicate with somebody if I need to. So again, all those things were either directly or indirectly a result of that windstorm 10 years ago. And that's been one of the most significant natural events since we've lived here for me. Since then, with SAR, I've helped out with response on wildfires and floods and done a lot of other things to assist the community. But it all started with that windstorm. So just wanted to make note of the 10-year anniversary and some of the changes that have happened since then. Hope that has been of some interest. This has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.